Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to tell a story that is, on one level, completely hilarious, the kind of spontaneous, organic, completely unscripted internet moment that nobody plans and nobody could have predicted, and that makes you genuinely grateful for the specific chaos that social media occasionally produces when the right video finds the right person at the right time. But underneath the hilarity, underneath the laughing emojis and the offer of a son and the Brazilian forró singer reposting a comparison video on his own story, there is a more substantial story about what Jimin's cultural presence actually looks like in 2026 when you zoom out far enough to see the full picture. Not just the Billboard chart positions. Not just the iHeartRadio Festival headline. Not just the AMA Artist of the Year win or the FIFA World Cup final booking. But the way that his existence as a cultural force ripples outward into unexpected corners of the world, finding people and communities in genres that have no particular connection to K-pop and producing in them the same fundamental response that everyone who encounters Jimin honestly tends to produce. And sometimes, as this specific story demonstrates with magnificent clarity, that response involves offering your son. Let us start with who Marluz Viana is, because understanding the full comedy and the full cultural significance of this moment requires knowing what he represents in Brazilian music. Marluz Viana is a Brazilian singer known for his work with Calcinha Preta, one of the most beloved and most enduring forró bands in Brazil, with albums including Ao Vivo no Recife and hits like Magica and Dois Amores, Duas Pixos. He has amassed over 1.7 million followers on Instagram. Forró, for those who may not be familiar, is a genre of Brazilian popular music with roots in the northeast of Brazil that has been a central part of Brazilian popular culture for decades. It is the kind of music that Brazilians associate with specific feelings and specific memories and specific occasions, the soundtrack of festivals and dances and celebrations that are deeply embedded in the cultural life of Brazilian communities. Calcinha Preta is not a small act within that world. They are one of the defining names in the genre, a band that has been part of the fabric of Brazilian popular music long enough to have become genuinely iconic within their specific cultural context. And Marluz Viana is one of the voices associated with that institution, a person with 1.7 million followers on Instagram, which is not the following of someone who is popular within a small niche. It is the following of someone who is genuinely well known in Brazilian entertainment broadly. This is the person who was minding his own business when a video appeared in his vicinity, possibly tagged to him, possibly forwarded by fans, possibly stumbled upon through the ordinary algorithmic chaos of Brazilian social media, that compared him to Jimin from BTS. The video's description, as reported in the caption of the TikTok that brought this moment to wider attention, posed the question, is that Marluz's child from Calcinha Preta? Whoever made the video apparently felt that there was a visual similarity between Marluz Viana and Jimin significant enough to warrant the comparison and the question. And the video, whatever its specific content, found its way to Marluz himself. And Marluz Viana, a 1.7 million follower Brazilian forró singer with a catalog of hits spanning decades of the genre's history, someone who has been performing for and connecting with audiences long before most of the current K-pop global fanbase was old enough to have opinions about music, saw the video, reacted with 3 laughing emojis, said "I love this," and posted the video to his own Instagram story. That decision, to repost a video comparing yourself to a K-pop idol to your own story, is itself worthy of examination, because it reflects a specific quality of personality and a specific relationship with social media and public life that is not universal among artists of Marluz Viana's generation and standing. There is a version of this story where the Brazilian forró legend sees a comparison video, feels vaguely confused or vaguely flattered or vaguely anything, and moves on with his day without engaging. Most artists, when they encounter unexpected comparisons with famous people from entirely different industries and entirely different cultural contexts, take the diplomatic path of not engaging at all. Marluz chose the other path. He laughed. He said he loved it. He shared it. And in doing so, he demonstrated the specific quality of self-awareness and humor that makes the story what it is. And then the comments section delivered its own contribution to the narrative. A fan responded to Marluz's post with the declaration, "Marluz, I'm your biggest fan. What an honor. Listen, is your son not busy? I'm interested in him. The fan, having been presented with the information that this person she follows and admires has been compared to Jimin from BTS, apparently made a rapid series of connections involving the quality of the human beings that the comparison implied, the potential attractiveness of a person descended from someone who resembles Jimin, and the romantic possibilities thereof, and arrived at the conclusion that the correct response was to ask whether Marlu's son was available. And Marlu's responded with 3 laughing emojis and apparent warmth about the whole situation. The specific words of his response and the exact nature of what he offered are the details that have been circulating across social media since this exchange became public, generating the specific energy that organic, unscripted social media moments of genuine human comedy always generate, the feeling that something real and spontaneous and completely human just happened in a space that is usually full of managed and calculated content. Now let us talk about what this moment represents within the larger pattern of the Jimin effect as it has been documented across 2026 and across the years of his career more broadly. Because the Marlu's Viana story is funny on its own terms, it is genuinely, warmly, completely funny, but it is also one more data point in a picture that, when you assemble all of its components, says something significant about the specific quality of Jimin's cultural presence and the specific way in which that presence operates across the ordinary boundaries that separate musical communities from each other. The Brazilian connection to Jimin has been documented from multiple directions. We covered on this channel the story of Gazelle Oliveira, the Brazilian Victoria's Secret model who attended the BTS Permission to Dance concert in Los Angeles in 2021 and told her followers that she loved Jimin and wanted to marry him. And years later, in 2026, the Ararang Burgundy vinyl, the Jimin edition of BTS's most recent studio album, was visible on her bookshelf in a home tour she posted captioned simply "Home." The Victoria's Secret model from Brazil who encountered Jimin at a concert and has carried him with her ever since, evidenced by the burgundy vinyl in her real home. And now, in 2026, from a completely different corner of Brazilian culture, from Faro rather than fashion, from Northeast Brazil's most beloved musical tradition rather than the global runway, another Brazilian has encountered Jimin, in this case through the sideways route of a comparison video rather than through a concert attendance or a streaming platform. And the response, while completely different in tone and in context, reflects something that is recognizable from the Gazelle Oliveira story and from every other story in the growing archive of unexpected Jimin encounters. Recognition. Warmth. The specific quality of delight that comes from encountering something that exceeds your expectations in the most unexpected possible way. The comparison video itself is a cultural artifact worth thinking about. Someone, somewhere in Brazil, watched content involving both Marlu's Viana and Jimin and felt strongly enough to make a video about it, that there was something worth comparing. This is the kind of thing that happens organically when the cultural reach of an artist extends far enough that their image and presence are known in communities and contexts that have no formal relationship to the entertainment ecosystem they come from. The person who made the comparison video was not a K-pop industry insider or a media professional. They were someone for whom both Marlu's Viana and Jimin existed as known quantities in their cultural world simultaneously, someone for whom the Brazilian Faro singer and the Korean pop star were both present enough in their daily media consumption to notice a similarity and feel compelled to document it. That kind of organic, non-institutional, non-industry comparison is one of the most honest possible measures of genuine cultural reach. It does not require a chart position or a streaming platform or a brand deal. It just requires that someone, in the ordinary course of their daily media life, encounters 2 things and notices that they have something in common. And that someone, encountering both Marlu's Viana and Jimin in the same cultural mental space, made a video. And that video found Marlu's himself. The specific detail of Marlu's posting the video to his own story is the part of this that has the most to say about the cultural moment. When a 1.7 million follower Brazilian entertainer with decades of career history sees a comparison between himself and a K-pop idol and decides that the appropriate response is to share it approvingly with his own audience, he is implicitly doing something. He is saying to his 1.7 million followers, this comparison is worth knowing about. This is the person I am being compared to, and I find that comparison flattering or funny or interesting or some combination of all 3. He is introducing Jimin to an audience that, for many of its members, may have had only the vaguest awareness of his existence before this moment. He is, in the specific way that social media works when someone with genuine reach and genuine credibility within a specific community shares content, functioning as a bridge between 2 worlds that would not otherwise have had any obvious point of connection. Foro music fans following Marluz Viana who see that Instagram story and go, "Who is this Jimin person that Marluz is apparently amused and flattered to be compared to?" Those fans, some of them, a percentage that we cannot quantify but that we can reasonably estimate is not zero, will investigate. They will find the music, the performances, the clips, the live concert footage. They will encounter Jimin in the specific way that everyone who encounters him honestly tends to encounter him, which is without prior context and without the particular enthusiasms and expectations that come with being already embedded in the K-pop fandom. They will encounter him fresh. And the evidence of what happens when people encounter Jimin fresh, documented from every direction and every corner of the world, is consistent. Something happens. The recognition occurs. The specific quality of what he does reaches something in the person encountering it that the analytical processing does not fully account for. The comment about Marluz's son is, at one level, simply a piece of funny internet behavior, the specific kind of humor that emerges when a fan sees a comparison between someone they already follow and someone they find attractive and makes the obvious joke about the genetic implications. But at another level, it reflects something genuine about how Jimin's cultural presence functions in the minds of people who are encountering him through unexpected channels. The fan who asked about Marluz's son was making an implicit argument: if this person resembles Jimin even slightly, then proximity to this person and his genetic material is valuable. That is a very specific and very human way of expressing the specific quality of Jimin's appeal, not just as a musician or a performer or a public figure but as a person whose combination of qualities generates in the people who encounter him a specific and measurable response. The full arc of what the Marluz Viana moment documents is remarkable when you place it in the context of the year it is happening in. We are in June 2026. Jimin has just headlined the AMAs. He is confirmed for the FIFA World Cup final halftime show alongside Madonna and Shakira. He is on the iHeartRadio Music Festival lineup next to Cardi B and Snoop Dogg. His face is on the Calvin Klein flagship store in Harajuku. The Arirang album is in the global top 10. And at the same time, organically, without any coordination or any institutional effort, a Brazilian Foro singer with 1.7 million followers is posting a comparison video to his story and offering his son in a comment thread, and the whole thing is generating exactly the specific warm, human, completely unplanned kind of cultural moment that no amount of promotional budget can produce. That is the Jimin effect in its most authentic and most telling form. Not the chart position, though the chart positions are real. Not the stadium sells out, though the stadiums are full. But the Foro singer in Brazil laughing at a comparison video and reposting it. The Victoria's Secret model with the burgundy vinyl on her shelf captioned home. The Filipino mother and daughter who both said the same name without discussing it. The HYBE choreographer who said his dedication was unmatched. The filmmaker who said he would commission him over every living artist. The music producer who got goosebumps and wrote a song he hasn't delivered yet. All of these stories, arriving from different directions, describing the same essential thing. Jimin reaches people. Not just the people who were already looking for him. The people who were not expecting to encounter him at all, in the places they were not expecting to encounter him, with the responses they were not expecting to have. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, when the specific conditions align in just the right way, the response involves a Brazilian Foro legend, 1.7 million followers, a comparison video, 3 laughing emojis, and an offer to introduce someone to his son. That is the Jimin effect in its most joyful and most human expression. And it is one more entry in the long and continuously growing archive of evidence that what ParkJimin does, and who he is, and the specific quality of his presence in the world, is something that exceeds every category we have available for describing it. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment below telling me which unexpected Jimin encounter story is your personal favorite, and subscribe if you have not already. We will see you in the next one.